Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. The James Show wants to help you avoid terrible movies, and to do that, we bring in the great Debbie Schlussel for Ruthless movie reviews. Debbie's the only one who does them on my show. She's the only one who does them right. Welcome back to the show, Debbie.
Thank you. Great to be back. As always.
And happy Memorial Day to you. Let's start.
Thank you.
Let's start out with our first movie. This is Garfield. I assume this is about the cat.
Yes. So this is taken from the comic Garfield. This wasn't bad. I mean, I've seen better animated movies for kids, but I've seen many that are a lot worse. I thought it was cute. The animation was good. It was very funny. I did laugh a lot. And so if you have to take your kids to see something, they'll love it. It's very entertaining. And, I mean, the plot wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad. It was cute. And I think family members, like adults, will enjoy it, and they won't be bored. And they'll get stuff that kids won't get. So
Is this... Wait. I think I saw the storyline here. This is the one where Nermal, the little gray cat, this is where he gets the bottom surgery, isn't it?
So anyway, what happens in this is that Garfield is little. He gets stuck in this restaurant and he gets adopted by this guy. He thinks his dad abandoned him, but then he learns that actually when he grows up that his dad didn't abandon him, and now he and his dad are back together, and they are on a big heist of this dairy farm called Lactose Farms, which I thought was cute name. And there's an evil cat, and there's some evil other animals. It's very cute. There's a couple dogs, an evil dog and a good dog, and it was funny. It's good.
Okay, what do you give it on the rating scale?
I think I would give it a let's say like probably 2.5 stars. Reagan's.
Oh wow. Okay, good. Yeah. So, and I like how so many of these cartoons now, you can tell they're trying to keep the adults interested too. Yeah, and you know what else I liked about this? It's not politically correct. There's no agenda being pushed. There's nothing about the environment or, any of the other things. I'm not worse than a bear in this one. That's fantastic. Right. The next movie, Sight. I know nothing about this. SIGHT. What is Sight?
So I'm sorry, but there is Ruth today because I loved this movie. This movie was what everybody should be looking for in people who come to immigrate to this country. This is about a real-life ophthalmologist, eye doctor named Ming Wang, who survived a very tough life, and his parents were really in the thick of it in communist China. He came to America. He became an ophthalmologist. He saved the sight of this Indian girl whose mother threw acid on her face. She went blind, and he invented this surgical procedure in order to make her see again. And now he's got a charitable foundation that has restored the sight of many, many blind children. I thought it was a very touching movie. It's cerebral. I mean, it's not like, a funny, happy movie. It is happy and uplifting, especially in the end. And I actually had tears in my eyes. I thought it was great. And it's just really a great American story.
Well, that's great. And look, it sounds like a good story, but they are so good at screwing up otherwise good stories in Hollywood. Right. I like the sound of this. And then look.
Yeah. By the way, Greg Kinnear is in it also.
Oh, I love him. I thought he died. Yeah. I guess not.
No.
Next one, Furiosa. It's another Mad Max movie, and it's been advertised all over the place. But is it any good, Debbie?
So, I have mixed feelings about it. You know what's going to happen in these Mad Max movies. So it's going to be brutal. This was more brutal than others. And it was 2.5 hours long, 2 hours and 28 minutes, way too long. I love the style. I love the, Mad Max movies. They have cool motorcycles and cars that are weird. And
cool fashion sense.
Right.
A lot of leather involved, a lot of fishnet, face paint.
Exactly. But it's like a very brutal, gross movie. But then on the other hand, I thought, 2.5 hours of watching this movie, I didn't see anything even close to as brutal as what was in the Hamas videos that are online. So I guess I can't complain. And then beyond that, the story was not bad. It just, by the time you got to the good part, it was like towards the very end of the 2.5 hours. So the story is that Furiosa, who is played as an adult by Anya Taylor-Joy, she is kidnapped as a child from this lush green area, which is populated by mothers. And she's kidnapped, and her mother chases after her on a motorcycle. And then what happens is her mother's killed, and she's taken captive by this motorcycle gang. And then they're rivals with this other motorcycle gang, and they're fighting. And then she wants to get her revenge, but the revenge attempts don't even start till like towards the very end of the movie, which I thought like the payoff is so little. So, but it wasn't bad. If you like the Mad Max stuff, you might like this, but it was more brutal than the other Mad Max things that I've seen.
What do you give it on the rating scale?
I guess I might give it like maybe like a half a Reagan, maybe.
Okay, so if you're a fan, you probably want to watch it, but the rest of us, 2.5 hours is a hell of a commitment these days. The last movie,
I agree.
The last movie is The Hitman. I don't know anything about this one. What's The Hitman?
So it's not even The Hitman. It's just Hitman. It's in theaters today, select theaters, and then on June 7th, it's going to be on Netflix. This is a Glenn Powell movie. You know Glenn Powell, that's all the rage now.
No.
And I remember several years ago when he was in this movie with that was directed by this director, Richard Linklater, who directed this movie and who co-wrote this movie with Glenn Powell. And I thought, this guy, Glenn Powell, is very likable. He's probably going to go places. And he has. Now he's like a big A-list leading man.
Oh, I know this face. Yeah. I just looked it up.
Yeah, so I didn't care for this movie. The trailer makes it look like it's going to be so much better than it is. They always do. But it just, like, I thought the story kind of fell flat. So it's based on a real-life story of this guy named Gary Johnson in New Orleans, who was a college professor during the day and a nerd. And then he would moonlight as a hitman for the New Orleans police. He would, as a fake hitman. And he would entrap people to try and, hire him to kill their husband or whatever, their wife, and then they get arrested.
Well, hang on. Now, this sounds like a pretty good setup for a movie.
It does. I love the idea. It's the execution that just did not, to me, go well, because I thought the movie was kind of like boring. It's like, wasn't it great? It was just like, I didn't really, it wasn't as exciting as I expected. It did not live up at all to the hype, is what I'm saying.
Wow. Okay. Man, I hate it when they take a good idea for a movie and ruin it. Like, it makes me want to go remake it. What do you give it on the rating scale?
I mean, I guess maybe half a Reagan. If you like Glenn Powell, you might like this movie. I like him, and I didn't find this movie to be all that. And, it's going to be on Netflix in 2 weeks. My recommendation is if you really want to see it, and you have Netflix, wait, because this is not a movie you need to run out to the theaters to see.
Yeah, so for the guy listening to us, if you don't recognize the name Glenn Powell, he was in Top Gun Maverick. He was Hangman. Right. Dark Knight Rises. He was in some kids movie that I remember my kids watching. But if you see his face, you'll recognize him because he's been in a lot of stuff, and it all seems like pretty lately he's just popped.
He was in that new movie that's in the top 10 right now on Netflix, but it was in January, and it was about this couple. He's in it with Sydney Sweeney, and I can't even remember what it's called. It was that memorable. But
I remember that. Just because Sydney Sweeney was in it, and I remember the poster for it. Debbie, I owe you a severe thank you. Not severe, just a regular thank you. I went to see Back to Black. Wait, was that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Amy Winehouse one? On your recommendation from last week's episode of Ruthless Movie Reviews, and it was exactly how you described it. Not great, but good, and especially if you're already a fan of her and her music. They did a really good job with that, and they kept politics out of it, and there wasn't any kind of grooming or anything weird going on, so thank you very much. I was worried about that because a lot of these have been disappointing. People that you're already fans of, and they go almost try and ruin it. All right, tell the guy listening to us how he finds you outside of the James Show.
All right, so on Twitter, I'm at Debbie Schlussel. On Instagram, at Real Debbie Schlussel. On Facebook, Debbie S fan page or Debbie's fan page, DEBBIE. And Schlussel, just Google it, and you'll figure it out.
One thing I would like to point you toward is earlier in today's show, we had talked about this contrived. This is one of the weakest sauce contrived controversies over Alito's flags. Have you heard the story?
Yeah, I've been following it. I think it's stupid. Listen, his wife lives with him. They're married. She has a right to put up whatever she wants at her house.
Even he does. He can fly
Well, he does also, exactly. But you know what? I think if I were a Supreme Court justice, I don't know if I would fly a flag like that. But nobody cares about how Sonia Sotomayor has made millions of dollars since she's been on the Supreme Court when she had nothing before. That scares me more than what somebody, who's paying her off. I'd like to know. Everyone makes a big deal about the conservatives getting the free stuff. So that bothers me. I wanted to point out a different story I forgot to mention to you.
You got 1 minute.
All right. Morgan Spurlock, the Super Size Me guy, died today.
Yes.
And he did a TV show, documentary, fake-umentary, I call it, and they wanted to recruit me to be on it. They tried to recruit me multiple times for different shows. One of them was the show about Muslims in America, where he was going to talk about how great they are, peaceful, they don't support terrorism at all, which we've seen on all the college campuses and stuff, that they don't support it at all.
No, just sweethearts. Yeah.
Right, and I wrote about it in the Wall Street Journal, so I have the link on all my social media. Check it out.
Fantastic. Yeah, I went through his history and made sure to tell everybody that no researcher in a lab could reproduce the results. He lied about not using alcohol, and he was a severe drinker during the 30 days and all kinds of this.
Absolutely.
We already poked a bunch of holes in that. All right, well, thank you very much. This has been the great Debbie Schlussel Ruthless Movie Reviews and a little bit of bonus time today. Thank you, Debbie. That's going to do it for the James Show.
You.
Have a good Memorial Day weekend. If you're traveling, be safe, because I don't need to lose any listeners. This has been the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.